Good morning or good evening. Today I'm not going to talk about a guitar, even though I've got one in my hands. I've just done a video on this Jackson Kelly. I'm going to talk about guitar playing injuries and my experience with having arthritis. In about 2017, 2018 I started to get arthritis in my hands, mostly in those two fingers. It gradually got worse, and what happened was my knuckles around here started to swell up, and when I was fretting you get loads of pain in the knuckles, and it just made playing hard. So I went to the doctor and said, like, are there any drugs you can give me to stop it? And he said no. He said no, you can't. And he told me that arthritis is just part of getting old and you've got to deal with it. And to possibly, if I ate red meat, stop eating red meat because red meat causes arthritis. That's what he said at the time. Now, I'm going to premise this video with saying I'm not a doctor, a physician, or any kind of healthcare professional. All I'm talking about is my experience with this and how I overcame arthritis and went from having to stop playing guitar in 2020 to being able to start playing guitar and not having any arthritis. You might find other people that have had different experiences, but this is my experience. So I thought I'd share it in case anybody is suffering with arthritis in their hands and they're getting to the point like I did where I was gutted because I could no longer play guitar. And if it's something that's filled your life for so long and you've got to stop doing it, it's pretty depressing, you know, in fairness. I'm not particularly a guy who gets down about things, but, you know, it had a bit of an effect on me. But anyway, to get to the crux of the matter, so the doctor said to me, stop eating red meat, and that might help. And I also saw an interview with Gary Holt, who from Exodus and Slayer, who basically said the same thing. He said he'd stopped eating red meat and his arthritis went. So I thought, yeah, brilliant. And eventually I became a vegetarian for about a year. Now, during this time, my arthritis got loads worse, and it got to the point where when I initially started to become a vegetarian, I thought to myself, oh, if this works, I'll be able to play for a few more years, and, you know, I'm trying to look on the bright side. About 6 months in, it got 2-3 times worse. It got to the point where I'd wake up in the morning and I literally couldn't move my right hand. It was spreading to my left hand as well, and I was starting to feel, you know, in my knees and stuff. And also, at the time, I was fairly overweight, and I put about almost 2 stone on. At the time, I was fat. Ever since leaving the army in 1999, I've sort of struggled for my weight, with my weight, because I do like my food. And I went from being like 14 stone to almost 16 stone now. Just premise that with, I'm 5'5.5". So a guy my height at 16 stone is properly obese. I know I don't look it now, but we'll get to that. So anyway, COVID happened and I had a complete lifestyle change. I stopped playing guitar. I'd sold loads and loads of gear. Some really tasty guitars that I really regret selling now. But in my mind at the time, I was never ever going to be able to play guitar again. So the only guitar I kept was my, my Kramer Pacer. And I still had that little Ibanez Destroyer that I've done a video on this channel with. And the only reason that didn't go is because I don't think anyone wanted it. Because it looks a mess with the pickups missing, and they don't see past that it's a beast. But anyway, in about 2021, 2022, I saw an interview with a guy called Jordan Peterson on the Joe Rogan show, and he talked about the carnivore diet. And he'd, in fact, I'll go back before then, because I figured out in about 2020, when COVID was happening, that being a vegetarian wasn't helping me. It was making me ill, and it was making me miserable all the time as well. Now, I've heard various theories about that, but I'm not going to go into them because that's a massive rabbit hole. So I stopped being a vegetarian and I started eating normally again. And then I started to notice there were some days where my arthritis would ease off, and it'd still be there, but it wouldn't be that bad. And there were other days where it would be raging. So I started to think, is there something eating it that's aggravating it? Went on Google, starts looking at things. And then I started to cut certain things out of my diet to see what it was. And at the time, I thought it was bacon. So I cut bacon out, and eventually after about 3 weeks, I'm still getting raging arthritis. So I realise it's not bacon, go back to square one and start cutting other things out. Eventually I narrowed it down to tomatoes. Then I found out that tomatoes are an inflammatory food. And then potatoes after them, because they're a very, even though they look different, they're a very similar chemical makeup in the chemicals or crap that's in them that attacks your joints. So I cut tomatoes out, and I started to cut some potatoes out, and it started to get better, but it was still there. Then in about 2022, I saw an interview with a guy called Jordan Peterson, and he was talking about he'd had arthritis, among other things, and he started the carnivore diet, where he stopped eating vegetables and such. Now I like meat, so I started doing it. And within about a month, I remember the day I started in about, it'll have been maybe April time, April 2020, what we're now, 25, so April 2023, I started properly on the carnivore diet. And within a month, my arthritis had totally disappeared. It had gone completely. And it was shocking how that I went from, waking up in the morning, not being able to move my left hand, to what's happened? Hang on, But then other things started to cure themselves as well. I stopped having aches and pains. When I used to get up in the morning, because I'm nearly 54 now, but back then I was 52. When I used to get up in the morning, I'd get up and I'd sit on the bed for edge of the bed for 10 minutes. Just sort of, what do I do now? In a daze, as if my head was all fogged up. That cleared up in no time. I'd also had damage to my chest from the pandemic. Now, whether it was actually the C word or the vaccine that caused the damage, I've still no idea. There are theories about it, and again, it's a big rabbit hole in it, and there's loads of theories about it. And I'm not going to call them conspiracy theories, because I think some of them are true. And I got to the point where I was struggling to walk up a hill because my chest would just be raging. I wouldn't have breath. Within 2-3 months, my chest was fine. I weren't having breathing problems. I wasn't catching colds every couple of weeks, because that's another thing that used to happen. Anywhere between November and March, I would have a cold all the way through, and it would just fade and come back and fade and come back, but I'd never get rid of it. I'd have a cold literally all winter. That hasn't happened since. I've not had a cold for 2 years now, and I can stand next to somebody with flu and not get it. And the other thing as well is I'm not sure how much weight in total, because I'd started to lose some weight before I started carnivore, but from being almost 16 stone, I'm 10.5 stone now. As you can see, I get a few of my friends take the piss out of me, call me skinny twat now. I do have people coming up to me who knew me when I was fat, asking me if I'm ill, if I've got cancer or something like that. And I'll tell them that, no, I'm fine. You know, and try to explain it to them, and the glaze over, because people don't want to know. But anyway, that's my story about how I got rid of arthritis. I basically, the crux of it is I cut out tomatoes and potatoes. But when it really stopped was when I stopped having seed oils and vegetables completely. Because that's another thing as well, seed oils cause such damage to your bodies, you know, like sunflower or rapeseed oil. The market has been healthy, but they're not. I mean, I wonder if this video will get flagged for me saying that because of who owns the world. But when I cook now, I either cook in beef dripping or butter, nothing else, and my health hasn't been better for like 20 odd years. So like I say, that's my journey on getting rid of arthritis and being able to play, going from not being able to play guitar and being able to play again to an okay level. You know, I'll never be Marty Friedman, but yeah, no arthritis, and that's how. I truly do hope this video does help somebody. If you're sitting there thinking, you know, you've got arthritis and you're thinking, bloody hell, I'm going to have to stop playing guitar. And for some people, it's like the end of the world for them. I hope you see this video, try what I do, or try what I did, and I hope it helps you. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Tongue twisted. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe on your way out. Cheers.